It's a distant memory. I can finally laugh about it. Well, not really laugh, but depressive laugh, I guess. I'm about to tell you about the most expensive shambles of my life. So let's start with planning. No matter how many people we invited, I needed to make sure my guest list was always less than half. Why? And I quote, I don't have as many important people in my life. Well, thank you for making me feel special. I was also told we couldn't use my favourite artist's music for any of the big moments, not for the ceremony or the first dance, not even as background music. They thought one of the most romantic artists of modern times was apparently just too boring. And don't get me wrong, I understand we have different tastes in music, but it's my wedding, and it would be nice if something was considered, right? At this point, I feel more like a guest than a groom. Come, get drunk, and leave. And that's kind of what they insinuated. You're a groom. You shouldn't concern yourself with these things. Now, guests, we had a fair few weird ones. One of my guests skipped the ceremony entirely, although he lived 15 minutes away. But you know that equals to trekking mountains, of course. At the reception, one of my friends had to step in because the same guest completely hijacked his table conversation. Oh, not wedding talk or congratulations, but with complaints about his pickup soccer league. And honestly, this was minuscule in comparison. The invitation clearly stated cocktail attire, and guests understood it as beachwear, fitted hats, Jordans, sunglasses for an indoor ceremony. At this point, reality had left the building, so may as well just go with it. Now, the bride's side. A close family member of hers had a huge hoo-ha drama about how vital it was to have a +2. It was urgent, critical, non-negotiable. She arrived, sat through the ceremony, then poof, like a magic trick, she disappeared. She didn't stay for her entrance or the dinner. Apparently, she thought one of her estranged sons might be there, so she basically ran. Almost as if her +2 was an exit strategy, only her son never attended. Now her dad's entire family took up a full table, brought no gift, no card, not even a scribbled congrats on a scrap paper. Side note, went to her dad's house a few months later and saw large portraits hung up. With pride. Had everyone in it but me. Guess he was hinting something. The bridesmaid. She arrived 30 minutes late to the rehearsal, and lo and behold, in a white dress. Isn't that like a wedding crime or something? The wedding, between the ceremony and reception, she asked my best man to carry her so she wouldn't have to walk in heels. She interrupted our sunset photos so she could FaceTime her mum and we talked to her. Then later in the night, she collapsed onto her knees in the middle of the dance floor sobbing. Nobody had a Scooby why. Weeks later, I found out she asked venue staff to load up bags so she could take home as much of our cake and late night food as she could physically carry. She didn't bring a gift, she didn't bring a card, but she sure left with some leftovers. Oh, and the bride. She was hitting tequila hard. Guess she wanted to drown the whole day out, but it didn't quite play out that way. She spent part of the night after the ceremony throwing up in the hotel bathroom. But hey, at least I didn't use my favourite artist. I did wake up eventually, smell the coffee and ran. So that's a wrap for today's story. Like, subscribe and comment. I found today's story really interesting. These conditions that are put in place shouldn't be there, in my opinion. I'd like to know from you guys how your own experiences have been. I know a lot of the decision making was taken away from my partner and I, so we pretty much had no say in most things.